Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bachelor in Paradise Week 2, Night 1 post-show discussion. Welcome to the chat. If you're new to the chat, this is a place where we're just going to be discussing the show that just happened. If you're watching the chat after the fact, you're watching it much later than when it is live recorded, welcome. Don't worry if you're wondering where the recaps or breakdowns are going to be coming. It's just a few days away. But for now, we're here to just get my off-the-cusp reaction and talk about the show. So, yeah, a busy night for Hannah and the introduction of Mike. And let's get right into it. First of all, we just only have a couple of rules here. Number one, no spoilers. Please no outright spoilers. Sleuthing, things from the channel, things that have been, sussed out. Totally welcome. No outright spoilers, though. And two, just be kind to each other. Other than that, let's get to talking about the show. So, yeah, Dylan is not having a good time in paradise. He's focused on Hannah, and that's about it, while Hannah is exploring her options. So, one thing I will say, I know poor Dylan, right? And it's so sweet to watch Dylan because he seems so genuinely invested in Hannah. At the moment, I'm not terribly angry at Hannah personally. So she's kind of doing what what she should in paradise, making sure that she explores everything, and then she'll come to, the person that she truly wants to be with. But it looks like there is some new info coming next week, so we'll see about that. We'll see if that holds up next episode. So, but if you're a Dylan fan, I wouldn't worry. If you're here, you probably have seen the channel a bunch, and you know that we're pretty certain that Dylan and Hannah are going to be engaged at the end of this. But there's a lot of drama on the way. And yeah, Cam. Oh man. I mean, look, every time Cam comes on, it's so strange because I don't want to like slam him, but just the language that he uses is so weird. It's so weird. He's just met Kaylin and he's crying about marriage and having children, and it's a little much. It's a little much. So yeah, and if she's doing what Kendall did to Joe, it's a very similar sort of scenario. At least in that Joe, grocery store Joe, was very only invested in Kendall, and Kendall talked to a few other guys before she came around and was like, okay, this is the guy. And yeah, Bibiana is out. I'm not surprised. She didn't make any connections. She seemed like she was going to be one of the people ousted. And who is the mystery woman? So if you've seen my my latest breakdown, my preview breakdown, I'm speculating that it is the woman who Demi talked about in her intro segment. So in her intro segment for Bachelor in Paradise, she sat down with Hannah Brown and she said, "Oh yeah, there's this person who I have been seeing, or that I'm super connected with, but I'm going on Paradise." And at this point, there's been no person who could possibly match. I mean, there's been a couple, but it's been a stretch. The mystery woman. So I'm speculating that it's her, the person that Demi was talking about there. Check out my video if you haven't for more of the evidence on that I present. Yeah. And where was John Paul Jones this episode? Come on. So, and Sydney, thank you so much for the super chat. Who will Blake, Wills, and Kevin give roses to? Oh, who did? So yes, Blake. So yeah, Kevin. Did they show Kevin? Honestly, I can't even remember. But uh, yeah, they were friendship roses that were given out. The people who went home were Annalise, Bibiana, and Jane. Sorry, not yeah, yeah, that's it. Annalise, Bibiana, and Jane. So Blake, Wills, and Kevin gave out pity roses. Wills gave his to Katie, but now we've seen Katie has connected with Chris, which like kind of, I don't know about you, but it kind of felt like it sort of came out of nowhere. Um, and sorry, you said, was it Hannah, the mystery woman? No, it's not Hannah. I'm almost certain. None of the Hannahs, but we'll see. Um, yeah, and Katie and Chris B. Kind of came out of nowhere, and I was like, what? um, yeah, Katie was definitely wasted. Yeah, she seemed a little extra emotional. She seemed, yeah, she was wearing her heart on her sleeves a little bit more than usual out there. Yeah, a little bit feeling loosey goosey maybe. Um, but to me now, as far as I'm concerned, so we looked at the photos of who she's talking about in the previews when because we've seen Katie talking to someone in the preview where they're talking about fantasy suites, and that's usually right at the end of the show, right before they have these sort of engagement or commitment ceremonies, and and then there's a shot of an engagement between a black woman and a white man. So and there are only so many options there. And we saw Katie talking with a white guy with a sort of spiky kind of do. And there's a couple guys that I went through, and it could have been, but really only a few. So one being Chris B, another being like Kevin and maybe Blake, but the options are minimal. So at the end of the day, now that Chris B and Katie seem like a couple, I'm thinking it's stronger and stronger that they're the next engaged couple. So, when are you making an in defense of video on Blake? Maybe I might do that. So, yeah, I swear, I've got a couple of videos in the pipeline. It's been crazy busy for me right now, and hopefully, starting next week, things are gonna kind of maybe I'll be able to pump out an extra video or two in the next couple of weeks after this week. By the way, so for this week, I've sort of said this before, and I'll just reiterate it once more. It's going to be again another video on Thursday, a slightly longer one about both episodes. And then next week, I'll probably be going back to regular videos right after the episode's release. So, and do you think Nicole likes Jordan? So, I definitely think that one, I do feel that she's a little bit caught up in the excitement of Paradise. Um, I think she's got Clay and she's got Jordan, and it's exciting that she said herself, coming off of Colton season, she had no dates basically, and now she's got two, and it's fun, but I would still give the edge to Clay. Now we do see Christian coming into the picture next episode. That has been shown, that has been confirmed now. We speculated that in our last few preview breakdowns for Bachelor in Paradise, that Christian from Becca's season, he was eliminated very early on, and he was the one, if you remember, from the Men Tell All, who had a fight with Jordan about, modeling and everything, something like that, and Jordan was like, high waters, really? And so Jordan and him have a history. Now we've also seen in the preview that Jordan and him are going to engage in some sort of fight. Add to the mix now that Jordan has gone out with Nicole. Christian's going to ask out Nicole on a date. I think there's a lot of recipe for disaster there. So I was a Hannah G fan for so long, and now this is a bad edit for her is not good. Yeah. So I do think she is going to have a redemption. I do believe that. Um, this is going to be a big storyline for the season, I imagine, because I'm almost certain that her and Dylan get engaged by the end of this. So expect to see a lot of drama, a lot of negativity towards Hannah, and it looks like there's a sort of they're teasing in the next preview that Hannah and Blake met up a week before Paradise, and this is going to be a whole lot of drama, but there will be a redemption arc for Hannah involved. Absolutely. I can't imagine that they would have Dylan and Hannah engaged at the end with everybody hating Hannah. So in my mind, I'm thinking the producers and editors are looking at this and going, okay, let's like open the floodgates. Let's make Hannah let's get people against her. We're pro Dylan, and they know that they can do that because Hannah's going to have a redemption at some point. And Think Story, thank you so much for the super chat. Are they editing / prepping Mike for The Bachelor? I mean, to me, Mike is he's in the front of the pack for Bachelor now. I just think he's getting a good edit. I think his thing with Kaylin, we've sort of sleuthed out a little bit. There's some evidence to suggest that Kaylin ends up with Dean and not Mike. So we have seen Mike on a one-on-one date with someone who isn't Kaylin later on. So I don't know how that will go, but certainly I'm thinking he doesn't end up with Kaylin. So if he's getting this sort of positive edit and getting lots of screen time and everything as the season goes on and ends up with no one, he'll absolutely be the Bachelor. And as far as I'm concerned, at this point, it's between him and Peter. And people are going to... They won't forget Peter, but Peter won't be as fresh in people's minds by the end of next month. So, with Mike, he'll be fresh off the show, and people are going to be like, oh yeah, Team Mike. So it's going to be a great announcement for them to go in September or whenever it is. Mike's going to be the next Bachelor, and it's only a few months away that they have to wait till The Bachelor premieres in January. So as far as I'm thinking from not only just like a fan of the show or a fan of Mike, but also as a producer perspective, you have this guy, Mike, who's in Paradise, won't be ending up with someone, potentially. If he does end up with someone, well, then, my foot will be in my mouth, but that's okay. And fresh off of people's minds, and you have a huge advertising angle of the first Black Bachelor as well, right? And people like him, and his social media following has really shot up lately. So to me, I'm kind of getting that feeling. I'm getting that feeling that I had before Hannah Brown was announced as the Bachelorette. Now it's no guarantee at all, but I'm getting that feeling. So that's where I'm at right now. So who gave Sydney a rose? I believe that was Blake, right? Who was? Oh, geez, who was it? I need to go back and remember that. That was 2 hours ago. Okay, how am I supposed to remember that? But yeah, Sydney did get a rose, and it was like a friendship rose or not a non relationship rose. So, and Alyssa Rodriguez, thank you so much for the super chat. Just curious, since your channel revolves around a television franchise of making relationships, are you yourself in one? Oh, okay. I do have relationship experience. Should I be revealing that? or not. I will reveal all about myself. It was Kevin? Sorry. Okay, sorry to interrupt. I will reveal all the details of myself when I do a face reveal. But until then, we're just going to have to keep the mystery alive. Yeah, I didn't like when when the girls laughed at Blake when he hurt his foot. Yeah, I know. I mean, well, look, one thing's for sure, Blake's ability to catch a football is rocky at best. Sorry, I'll see myself out. I'll see myself out. JPJ for Bachelor. I know, but he got no screen time tonight. What? Where was JPJ? Where in the world? He was off just hanging out. And what was up with Onyeka? So upset that Mike didn't ask her out on a date. But she's with JPJ right now. Come on, don't throw hate at my guy Johnny PJs like that. Yeah, Mike and Kaylin were very giggly, but it wasn't as awkward as Cam reading his note out loud. I know that the problem with that, and I've seen some people post things like, I do believe that Cam, and I think it was a comment that was earlier too, is there like he actually wants to find someone, but he's really forward, and the problem with that, I mean, they're all there to find a partner, but you want to like vibe with someone. You don't want to just jump into like immediately let's get married kind of thing. It's a little bit much. But yeah, Cam's note was a little sorry, I know. I'm getting secondhand embarrassment a little bit from Cam. I'm kind of losing my words a bit. Well, it's you say it's unfair to say Cam is very forward. Mike does the exact same thing, but there's a difference, right? Like so when you go up to someone and you start talking about like children and like getting married, and he in his interviews he's talking about like I'm here to talk about two, like I want to make two calls here. One to say like tell my parents I'm engaged, and one to ask for this person's hand in marriage to their parents. Like that's too forward. But going up to someone and saying like I'm here to get married and I'm here searching for this is one thing. But saying like you and we're gonna do it and it's only been a day is a little bit different. But yeah, Cam for Bachelor. Hashtag make it happen. but I know and it's a strange thing because I do think, as weird and as much as I don't think I'd ever want to hang out with Cam, I honestly I wish him well. I do. I really do. I can't help but feel bad for him. And yeah, how do you feel about Hannah G's actions? Definitely. So we're gonna see what happens next week, but it appears like she met up with Blake beforehand. I don't know. I am team Dylan. He's such a cutie. He seems so genuinely only interested in Hannah, and not in a fake way or anything. He seems so genuine. And Roberta Jackson, thank you so much for the super chat. Do you think Dylan should have confronted Blake and Hannah the way that he did? Was that the right move? Yeah, I think so. One, I do believe he wasn't ready to do that. I think there's a way that you can do that, but you can do it, I guess, correctly, where you're not kind of sheepish. Dylan was a little bit sheepish, and I feel like in that moment he was sort of pressured into going over, right? Because everyone else is there saying like, "Whoa, they're kissing right in front. You should go up and say something." And he kind of looked around and was like, "Oh yeah, okay, I will." But he didn't know what he was going to do when he went up there, so it was just it was a little bit he was a little bit unprepared. So when Blake comes around and says like, "Yo, I can't believe that you've done that, blah, 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 it's so disrespectful," he doesn't really know what to do. And I think he's also a little bit hurt in that scenario, so he's going up feeling bad as well, and he's not feeling confident. So I think it was the wrong move, but more because he wasn't ready to do that and handle it the way that he should have. I think that there's a way that you go up with, confidence and your and honesty that comes out better. But Dylan just wasn't ready to do that. And Carolyn Needles, thank you so much for the super chat. Jordan was very cool tonight. I was surprised. Yeah, he was pretty cool. He had a lot of catchphrases. He's like, open up the milk, put your spoon in all the pudding. I felt like he was really hungry going on. But he definitely I don't have a lot of high hopes for Jordan. I think he really actually came on to meet Hannah and was a little bit caught off guard by not getting a date with her. So I don't have confidence for him and Nicole. We'll see if he matches with anyone else, but I think he was thrown off his game a little bit at the end there. And Lauren Rest, thank you so much for the super chat. Thanks for supporting the stream. Really appreciate it. And Nicole, I do think at the end, like if she were right now to choose who she would give her rose to, she would give it to Clay. Is my guess. But definitely Nicole is enjoying Paradise right now, and Christian is going to come in and ask her on a date. We've seen that in the previews. So yeah, bring on Jed. Yeah, get Jed in there. Oh gosh. Remember Jordan? He threw that stuffed animal into the beach, into the water, into the ocean last season. If Jed came on, I'd want Jordan to be there to throw his guitar into the ocean. No, we're moving on. We're moving past Jed. Jed's in the past, okay? No more Jed. We forget Jed. So, yeah. Talk about Kevin. Yeah, where was Kevin? I'll talk about Kevin, but there's nothing to talk about. Where was he? All we saw of him this week was his intro segment. That's it. So, and Victoria B, thank you so much for the super chat. Do you think the fight will be over Nicole? Jordan didn't seem too invested in their relationship. I think maybe it'll be a factor, Jordan didn't seem too invested in their relationship, but at the end of the day, Jordan's going to be searching for a rose, right? And Nicole's a possibility for that. This whole that fighting thing could be at the time it's at nighttime, so it could be right before a rose ceremony, and people are going to be vying for their roses, and one of them might get upset that either A, they're not getting a rose, or B, the other person is vying for a rose from the same person that they want to get a rose from. So Nicole could be a factor, but definitely Christian and Jordan are people who don't like each other. We've seen that before. As we've talked about on the channel, on videos, and earlier even today, Jordan and Christian were at odds on their men tell-all for Becca's season. And my sort of inclination is that Christian is very interested in screen time. But I say that not seeing the season so far and not knowing how he's going to act on the season, but other than maybe a fight, so maybe I'm not wrong. But at the men tell-all, he was eliminated very early on. He sought out Jordan and yelled, and people were kind of like, who are you? Like, you were eliminated so early. You're just kind of doing this for screen time. So that could be a factor as well. And Aubrey Lauren Diaz, is there? I thought there was another episode tomorrow. I believe there is. I believe there is another episode tomorrow. If I said something like accidentally like next week, or I might have said next week by accident, because I'm used to it being next week. But I do believe am I wrong in that? Oh my God, am I wrong? Yeah, no, it should be back. Think story. Who has 6 toes? Love your channel. Yeah, I know. That's the real question. Every time we solve a mystery, there's a new mystery to solve, and it's the 6-toed monster. And all I gotta say is Blake did not take off his shoes. Why, Blake? Why? We need to know! So, we know it's someone who is already in paradise, so it's nobody who comes later. Who showed up recently? Mike. Boom, boom, boom. Wait, I have a sound effect. Wait. 6 toes. Mike. The sound effect is so late. Boom, boom. Why? I'll change this too. I'm off my game, sorry. So, yeah. Last week, I knew. Can we please get Nick? Thoughts on who is on the chopping block this week. Got Cam. I don't know what Cam came to mind right away, unless someone new comes out. Kevin maybe, because like what, he's got no screen time. It's all a question mark because, sometimes there's only so many people that can go, and new guys are going to be showing up. And there's always going to be friendship roses. So, like, for example, like Sydney. Sydney could have easily been on the chopping block this past week, but she got a friendship rose, right? So Blake is not going to get chopped. Sorry, I know. But and JPJ is not going to get chopped. Absolutely not. We've seen a lot of stuff with Dean. Sorry, I just read Dean on the thing. We've seen a lot of stuff with JPJ in the future, so he definitely won't get. Don't worry. Who do you think Blake gives Blake a rose? Yeah, Onyeka probably gives JPJ his. Absolutely, that's what I'm thinking. At this point, she's going to give it, and You're also kind of with so Onyeka, even though she was upset, and she's obviously, we realized, not as interested in JPJ as maybe we thought. When she gives a rose to JPJ, it's also an investment, right? So you're hoping that if neither of you have a connection the next week, then he'll give his back to you again, and so on and so forth. But there was stuff in the preview we saw, like JPJ taking off his belt and he has no shirt on with Onyeka. So that's probably what's going to happen there. And Aubrey, thank you so much for the super chat. Do you think Kaylin was really interested in Cam? No. No. I mean, hey, I can only tell you what my gut tells me, but no way. I think that was I felt it when it happened last week, and I'll say it again. Kaylin was getting her rose for the week. But that's really common. People do that. It's par for the course in paradise. Thoughts on Jed and Dylan hanging out this weekend? Oh, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that at all. Who knows? So I guess I can't comment on it. But hey, maybe they both got a dog food jingle. So who do you think Blake will get a rose from? Oh, that's yeah. It's so it's going to be a question mark, right? We have to imagine that Dylan gets a rose from Hannah, most likely. I think he would only accept a rose from Hannah. I think if he didn't get a rose from Hannah, he would leave. So so we have to imagine that that's what happens. So then Blake doesn't get a rose from Hannah. So what are his options? I think maybe he turns to Christina, but that seems like a bad scenario. I think he'll be fishing around. But I wouldn't be surprised if there are still women who are interested in him anyways, because at the end of the day, getting a rose from him, keeping him on, is good publicity. So we'll see. We'll see. I still think that there's a lot of Blake footage to come, and not enough for us to speculate that he gets eliminated. And there's a few too many guys that are kind of on the outskirts over Blake, we've talked about Cam and stuff like that. And Ariana, thank you so much for the super chat. Who is your favorite Bachelor in Paradise success story? So we'll put aside like the OG like Jade and Tanner's, but the first one that comes to mind for me is Evan and Carly. Just because it was so weird, but it was kind of like, I don't know. My feeling at the time when I was watching that was it was weirdly cute. You know, he did so many strange things, and things that kind of were like when you like, if I were to sit down and talk to someone and say, okay, so what he did was he faked an injury and then went to the hospital and got her to come along, and it was at the hospital where he was faking an injury that they really started to connect it. Like when you say it like that, it starts to sound like then yeah. But anyways, I'm still a fan of them, and obviously they have children now, and they seemed fairly normal too. Glitter and the Goose. Oh well, so one thing I will definitely say was I did not like Glitter and the Goose. I individually on their seasons, right? And then they got together, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, makes sense. But then, like, more recently, the Goose is like when he was on Colton's season, like after the final rose, and he was like one of the most reasoned people there. I was like, what the heck what is happening? So, and since then, in the few things that I've seen, and I will say I haven't followed them very much, but I've kind of liked them now. So we'll see them get married. We'll see them get married, and we'll see them. They are a Bachelor in Paradise success story that is turning out better than I think anyone would have thought, or at least I would have thought. Yeah, Hannah saw Blake a week before Bachelor in Paradise aired. That's what the preview seems to suggest. So we'll get the deets. We'll get the tea, possibly, hopefully tomorrow. So, and there's this, yeah, so I haven't seen this latest thing of Dylan and Jed hanging out. Now, I won't condemn Dylan for hanging out with Jed. I don't know the context, though. So I'll save that. I'll check it out after the stream, maybe. I'm sure it'll be around somewhere I can find it. Thoughts on how they'll try to redeem Hannah? Tough task, in my opinion. So, yeah. I think my guess is it'll be something along the lines of the Joe and Kendall thing. Even though she's a bit in need of, I guess, more redemption based off of what seems to be coming out. But it'll be something like she explores and then she dumps Blake and, ends up just saying, you know what, Dylan, it's you and me. And I think the realization of it was you all along will be the redemption that they focus on. And they'll edit it. They'll edit it in the most positive light possible. So that's how I think they're gonna do the redemption. And we have seen, at least in this past episode, Hannah was like, oh, I'll go on this date with Jordan. And then she went, no. So we have seen her kind of, come to certain realizations. But one thing I will say as far as Hannah goes, so we know that they Blake and Hannah were talking, or at least that's what they speculate and they've shown in some of the footage from the previews for next episode. And we don't know what those conversations were like, right? So they could have been like, hey, I'm interested in you, you're interested in me, I'm interested to see you in paradise. Let's hang out. And then she meets Dylan, So we'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna hold my breath a little bit, but thoughts on the date between Michael and Kaylin? Mike and Kaylin. Yeah. So Mike, he's a giggly guy and a smiley guy. But I don't think it's gonna last. I'm still edging out that Dean will end up with Kaylin, and that Mike will be open for The Bachelor. But we have seen, if you've seen my videos, Mike with another woman as well on a one-on-one date. That it's either Angela, I believe it's Angela, who was dating Clay, or Jen Saviano. So I wouldn't hold out hope for Mike and Kaylin, even though he was like, this could be my last first date. I'm thinking he he definitely has one more because we've seen it in the previews. So, and yeah, and Katie with Chris B. That's looking up. That's looking pretty good. So we are going to be coming to the end of the stream. So if you want to get your last questions in now, now's the time. So we do have to get our rest before tomorrow because we're going to be back with another episode. Yeah, tomorrow I want to see more of JPJ. I know. We got no JPJ. No Kevin, but no JPJ. Where was Kevin? Who knows? He was in his cabana. He slept in. He missed. Who has 6 toes? Bigfoot. When will you be posting recaps? On Thursday for this week, and then the week after we're going to be going back to regular scheduled videos as soon as possible after the episode. Yeah, we're so close to dog reveal. I know. Dog reveal's coming up. I've got 2 dogs. It's gonna be nice. Get to see my dogs. I love my dogs. How did you get into The Bachelor? It's just one of those things that was always watched, right? It was something that like my folks watched back, since I can remember. And then one day, I just started watching again, and then I started binging it, right? And then I would like binge it over and over, like watch it episode to episode, not just like week to week. Like I would watch a season from the past, where you have all the episodes, and I'd be like, okay, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, okay, 3 episodes in a row, and that's when you start to notice like the thing, like the kind of techniques that the producers and stuff use, because normally they don't expect you to watch it like week to week, at least when it matters, like right when it's airing. So fake outs and stuff like that become much more noticeable if you watch it all in a row. So, where do you watch the previous seasons? Some of them are posted online. Some of them are in Hulu. Some of them you can purchase. There's also Bachelor Archive. I don't know if it's cool for me to like share that, but I mean it's pretty commonly known. My parents watch it, specifically my mom. So my dad watches the watches the videos. That's where he gets caught up. Yeah, Dylan went skateboarding with Jed, I think. Okay, I'm definitely gonna catch up with that. It's gonna be on Instagram. It's gonna be all around. Absolutely. Yeah. More of the recent seasons are on Hulu, but some of the older ones you can purchase, and they're pretty cheap. Or like you can go to, again, the archive. So, All right, so this is going to be the Instagram story. Awesome. Okay, I'll definitely catch that. Um, yeah, why do men not like to admit that they watch? So before I go, I'll answer this one. I don't know, because I think so I have some like theories on this, right? Um, but like it's an in-depth conversation. But ultimately, I think people. It's just maybe for some men, it's like embarrassing for but it's like who cares? At the end of the day, pretty much every story has in existence has one main thing attached to it. If it doesn't matter if it's a rom com, if it's a drama, if it's a comedy, if it's whatever, if it's the freaking Avengers, everything has love stories because that's the base. Like it's the base human, emotion. It's what we're drawn to. It's in our DNA that we are searching for love. And so to watch a show where people are searching for love, why wouldn't men want that either? So, but that's a conversation for another time. Thank you everyone for joining me on this Bachelor in Paradise live chat. We'll be back tomorrow night again for another live chat. And until then, Bachelor Fantake out.